good evening, everybody, and welcome to another week of Let's Talk About It. We are back, and tonight we're going to have a very special guest. But before we get into that, you already know who it is, Eric Shelton. I ain't even going to go into the rest of that. On the other side, we got Jamal. But kind of just briefly go into what we got going on. We got a promoter who is promoting a show next year that we really want to bring on to tie into Mental Health Awareness Month. We're going to let him give you the full spiel, but we're super excited to have him on. We're actually going to learn a lot about him tonight as well. So, you want to say anything early before I bring him on? You know, sometimes
Yo,
you got something to say.
your intros are starting to suck.
Hey, I'm running on short. I'm running on short fumes, but it's going to be a whole lot better. I promise you. But yeah, we got Josh Williams. Like I said, I'm gonna bring him on. I'm gonna bring a whole lot more energy throughout the episode. But let's go ahead and bring him on, and let's find out more about him. Here we go. Welcome to the stage, Dr.
My
Josh
guys.
Williams. My bad.
Hey, what's
No,
going on?
not much. I appreciate you all having me on. And please, to you all, it's Josh. It's just, Dr. Josh on YouTube and on Instagram. I thought I should be consistent with it. But yeah, I'm really excited to be on with like two Yorton Cup champs, two people that I have looked up to for a really long time. Like, I don't know how far back I followed the Yorton, but even when it was with like the IFPA, just like way back in the day. And so to be on here with two people at the pinnacle of the sport is really just an incredible feeling. So I appreciate you all having me on.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, of course. I guess you all want to know a little bit about my background, I guess, and just why I promote this show.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So I am the show promoter for the OCB Mind Muscle Classic. It is April 19th, 2025 here in Huntington, West Virginia. Still fleshing out some of the details on the hotel. However, more than likely, it will be on the campus of Marshall University. So there will be a big, beautiful campus for pictures and a big, beautiful sort of student area where more pictures can be taken. So it's going to be a great event. I suppose we should start with a little bit of my background. So I have a doctorate in clinical psychology, and I have a lot to thank. I can thank a lot of that to natural bodybuilding for giving me some of the resilience and the motivation and the work ethic to get through a degree program like that. So part of the reason I wanted to promote the Mind Muscle Classic is because, I work in Huntington, West Virginia. We're in the tri-state here. We're in Appalachia. We've got a lot of instances of substance use. We've got a lot of poverty. We've got a lot of, grandparents raising grandkids. And so I think with that comes some lack of meaning. And I remember what bodybuilding first did for me and just the meaning and purpose that it gave me, maybe acutely, maybe just for that moment, but it gave me a goal. It gave me structure. It helped me sort of expand my pain threshold, first learning what it feels like to have a pump in the gym. Taught me emotional regulation skills, taught me how to be grounded. And all of those things I saw in psychology. I was a personal trainer for a number of years. And to be honest with you, the hardest thing that I ever experienced with clients wasn't like, it wasn't that they were interested in like muscle physiology or just like, what's my training split or anything like that. It's what they did at home. It's changing their environment. It's modifying the barriers that are in their way from maybe getting in all their cardio sessions or fitting in all their meals or having, that tough conversation with family like, hey, these next 12 weeks aren't going to look so great. I'm going to be hitting the gym earlier. I'm going to be hitting the gym twice a day. I can't eat with you as much. So it was really the psychology around bodybuilding that really always got me as the most difficult part for me and for a lot of people that I've talked to. So I get through my degree program. I become a clinical psychologist. So I'm currently a therapist and I teach a little bit. And fortunately, I've just gotten a new job. I will be a professor of clinical psychology at Marshall University in the fall. So it'll be nice to be on campus there. But yeah, so that sort of takes me to, part of the reason why I do the show. In psychology, we have this deep need to sort of give back to the community. And so this is my way of giving back to the community. I think back to myself as a young man and the lack of meaning and purpose and direction I had. And, bodybuilding didn't completely point me in the direction that I went in, but it gave me that first set of tools. and it gave me some of the values that I carry over and hold today. And so I hope young teens, men, women, anybody who has like a vision, or anybody who's lacking a vision, but just wants something to try, wants something to strive for, wants something to shoot for, I hope they can come to this show and just be in front of their peers, be in front of their elders, and be a part of sort of a ritual that we have in natural bodybuilding. Because when you step on that stage for the first time, you cross the threshold, and I believe once you cross that threshold, win or lose, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh place, you enter into a family and a brotherhood of other people who believe what you believe. And so that's what the show really means to me. Just giving meaning and purpose back to my community, and hopefully we can get a lot of teens involved too, because I just want to give them what I got. And it's not going to speak to everybody, but if it speaks to, a handful of teens, then I've done my job. I could lose money on the show. I don't care. But if it gets them on stage, that's what this is for. So that's sort of the longest intro I have for y'all.
Absolutely. We appreciate that. So my first question for you is, how important is mental health to the sport of bodybuilding?
Oh, that is a big question. No, I think there are so many, because there's so many different facets to it. Like, I believe that there are a lot of good skills that people can gain from competing in the sport of natural bodybuilding. Like, they can, develop resilience, learn how to schedule things. They can train and keep their body fit and healthy for life. And then aside from that, on the side, you also learn nutrition skills. Like you sort of automatically start grasping onto those things. You start learning about protein intake and carbohydrate timing and what should my fats be at. And then you start looking like, oh, well, I'm not recovering as well as I should. Maybe I should look at my sleep more. And so psychologically, I think bodybuilding is a powerful gateway into a whole bunch of skills you don't even realize you're accumulating at the time, but you inevitably accumulate these things that are so powerful for your mental health. So that said, it's not a panacea. Like, I think you all have seen some of the tail end of contest prep. Like, look at me and tell me you felt awesome at the tail end of contest prep, right? No. So, so there's that other side of the sport. And so it's a trade-off. I believe the sport is incredible for developing early skills to support your mental health for life. However, we also have to be willing to tackle the harder aspects of the sport, mainly, just straightforward body dysmorphias and disordered eating patterns. I think those are prevalent. I mean, that is a thing that is going to come up in a sport, that you are judged by what you look like compared to other people. And so people are going to do some extreme things. And I think that's where I come in as a mental health professional who wants to do research in this area in terms of what are the long-term effects of contest preparation? What do we see as far as disordered eating patterns and body dysmorphias in, both male and female competitors? How can we mitigate those things? And how can we create an environment that, yes, those things do occur, but we have studied and looked at the situations in which they occur, and then we can implement things like diet breaks, and then we can implement various sort of other measures to see where an athlete's at, so that we can have the most happy, effective, and healthy athletes possible. So I think mental health wise, bodybuilding is tremendous. And if you throw on top of there, it's one of the least injurious sports out there, like compared to CrossFit, compared to powerlifting. Like, the style in which we train as bodybuilders is so amenable to having, a great physique at a low sort of fatigue cost to your bones and to your joints, that, overall, I think bodybuilding as a sport is one of the best things you could do for your mental health. However, you also have to learn certain boundaries, whether it's with yourself or with others, that sort of come along with the sport.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here I go. All right, so I guess my question would more so be, first and foremost, I heard you say Marshall University. I know one person from Marshall University, and I don't want to be wrong, but it's D. Randy Moss. I know we got to get him to come to the show. That's it. We got to get him to come to the show that too. But what effects did you see? I know you said you competed. I would definitely want to hear a little bit more about your competition history, like the category and things of that nature. But what effect necessarily did the exercise do for your mental health? I know you said you developed routine and things of that nature, but what else did it do for you?
Absolutely. I think the thing that drove me to bodybuilding, to training, just generally training at first, was I didn't respect as a young man the things that were outside of my control. Like, look, I'm not going to lie to you. I tried to control things that weren't in my control. It was a girl. It was a girl. I was a young man. It was from the age of 16 to 18. I didn't respect that, you know, her choice was her choice as far as who she wanted to be with. And I was an angry young man. I was angry and I was hateful. And I wanted so badly to have everything go my way in that situation. Her and I are good. Her and I are really great fans. She just came to my kid's birthday party. So we look back on that time and we both laugh at it. But I think one of the first things that bodybuilding taught me was the things that were in my control. I know what variables I can control. I know that I can change my weights. I know that I can change my rep ranges. I know that I can change my training splits. I know that I can change whenever I'm in a calorie deficit or in a calorie surplus. I know when I need to be at maintenance. It gives me all these variables that I've learned about that are actually in my control. Additionally, it taught me what's not in my control. Like when I look at you all and your stage picks, holy crap. Like the classic physique shot, the men physique shot, like I'll never have your tiny waist, Eric. Jamal, I'll never have your back. Like that's just not a thing that's going to exist on my body. But there is an appreciation. There is an appreciation in looking at, physiques as great as your all's and going, you know what? I will never have that. However, I can shoot to have similar aspects of it, similar qualities of it. I can gear my training towards developing wider lats, thicker back. I can, stay a little bit lighter in the off season, maybe keep my waist tinier so that when I get into that dieting phase again, I can diet back down and maybe keep a smaller waist like Eric. So I've learned to appreciate even the things that are out of my control, genetics, training, years of training, whatever it is. So I've learned to appreciate that. But yeah, that is the number one skill. And that's the number one skill I would recommend to any young man out there who's dealing with just, anger issues. It's like, you all remember like 16, 17, 18. Anybody? No. But it was a hard time. And so I think it taught me the things that were in and out of my control. And that's one of the most powerful things I got from it.
Absolutely. So in your professional opinion, do you think bodybuilding can have a negative effect on your mental health?
Yes, absolutely. I think so. I think when we start looking at, people have the various things that are just endowed to themselves. Like everybody has their own personality. Everybody's, open to the degree that they're open, conscientious, extroverted or introverted, agreeable, disagreeable, high emotionality, low emotionality. And I think people who come into bodybuilding with a lot of conscientiousness, very detail oriented, very sort of, maybe not clinically OCD, but just very, very detail oriented, they can get caught up in the weeds and they can sort of perpetuate some underlying mental health things. So I think it's a possibility. I think there are some downsides there. And then for people with already currently ingrained sort of disordered eating patterns, like maybe they restrict too much, maybe there's some binge eating going on there. I think bodybuilding is kind of a tough sport. And you got to be careful, especially like as a coach. Like that's one of the things that I want to do in the future is just like, make sure that, if a coach sees X, Y, and Z, as far as when he's working with an athlete and maybe they're binging, maybe the frequency of binging has gone from like, they binged in the past to now it's like every other day or something like that, due to whether it's, being in a calorie deficit too long, maybe the calorie restriction was too much up front and now they got nowhere to go. Now they just got hours of cardio to stack up on there. But I think there are some downsides to bodybuilding. And so that's just to touch on some of the sort of obsessive sides and then also the disordered eating sides, but then also from just like a learning what's in and out of your control side, like the body dysmorphia side, just like, for men, sort of the muscle dysmorphia aspect of it, just not thinking you're big enough or comparing yourself to others whenever it's not constructive. Like, look, I can compare myself to you all, but there's an underlying appreciation there. It's just like, wow, shoot, I want to shoot for that waist. I want to shoot for that back, that I want to shoot for that pose. I want to shoot for how Jamal hits that pose, except for maybe I'm going to tweak mine a little bit because I'm not as filled out. And so there's an appreciation, but I think for some competitors who go into it, I think the comparison then comes with self-criticism on the back end. Like, why don't I look like that? And just some anger and some irritability. So I think like anything in life, there are trade-offs to bodybuilding from a mental health perspective. However, I would argue that the positive mental health aspects are much more powerful. And if you do suffer from some of these sort of mental health things, some disordered eating, body image issues, some OCD, if you are seeing a mental health provider, number one, I would say do that first. Don't take my advice on here. Go see your own mental health provider in person, get that situated, and then compete in a way, or maybe not step on the stage, but still utilize a bodybuilding style of training. Because look, I think you can bodybuild whether or not you step on stage. I think it is a special group of individuals who step on stage and put their body in front of peers and judges and elders and things like that. And I hope to bring more people to the sport in that respect. However, you can still go to the gym and you can still get a sick pump and you can still bodybuild in a bodybuilding style until you get some of those mental health things under wraps. And then maybe you'll be ready to cut. You can just slap on muscle until you're ready to go. But yeah, so I think bodybuilding is definitely a trade-off, but more positive than negative.
Gotcha. And I always ask this to all the promoters because I want to know, and I want the athletes to know kind of what to look for. I know we got about, well, a little less than a year out from your show, and we probably will have you on before your show next year. But what can the athletes look forward to? I think athletes always want to know, like, how's the venue? I know you said it's at a university. How's the venue? Like, what about the awards? Are you going to have anything that's geared towards mental health at your show that people can talk through? Like, do you have any ideas this far out?
Absolutely. I do have some great ideas. So as of right now, let's talk venue. So as far as the Don Morris Grooms, it is a grand ballroom. The athletes will be sort of sequestered off in two different rooms. There will be a prep area and then a pre-prep area where they will be getting their tanning done. It is an exquisite setting. So if you think about, like, big old grand weddings, like it's a huge space. So it's going to be great for pictures. And as far as promoting the mental health side of things, like, again, so this is my first year promoting this show. So I hope after this year, the mental health aspect of this that will be carried on into the future is I will be, after this year, sponsoring one male and one female teen athlete that includes OCB membership. That includes entry fee into the show, and that includes having their parent backstage so that they can compete. And I really want to have them write about their experience and what drove them to bodybuilding. And so I want to sort of give back in that way and promote that aspect of mental health by, attracting more young people to the sport. And then number two, if you're familiar with Stacy Longo promoting out of Pittsburgh again. So I just got done emceeing her show in Pittsburgh about a month back. So that was a great experience. And so what else athletes will get coming to my show? They are going to get someone who puts the work in. I am putting the work in. I started judging last year. I emceed for Stacy. I plan on emceeing in the fall. I plan also expediting. I'm going to be at Marjorie's show in Knoxville. So if either of you are there, I'm going to be at the Marjorie's Knoxville show. And so I'm going to help expedite there. They get someone who is going to look for all the details, make sure that it is a great experience for them at almost any expense for me. If I break even at the show, lose a little, it's worth it if the athletes have a great time, have a t-shirt, have a great gift bag, and have tremendous trophies. And I've been talking back and forth with Magnum about the trophies. So we're still working on sort of the designs, things of that. And I need to hit him back up. But so there is going to be a good mental health push. And something else that I forgot to mention, body transformation division. Like, look, I get it. We love stepping on stage. We love being on stage. We love our posing. We love our comparison round. But I think for me, in this community, Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, I think we have a lot of people who maybe the other categories, the men's physique, the classic physique, the bodybuilding, the women's physique, figure, everything like that. Maybe that doesn't appeal to them, but maybe they want to make a change. Maybe they want to make a change for good in their life. Maybe they want to drop 50, 60, 75, 100 pounds, and they want to write about what's going on with them. So I'm really promoting the body transformation division as well, where they will get an opportunity to show their transformation and speak about what the journey was for them. And so in those ways, promoting the teens, promoting the body transformation, giving back as much as I can. That's sort of the way that I'm going to support mental health. And, as the show gets closer and closer, I'll be promoting more pictures, hit us up on Instagram, OCB Mind Muscle Classic. And then as far as mental health resources and things like that, So I got a YouTube channel, Dr. Josh Williams. You can find me on YouTube, and I talk not so much from a clinical perspective. So nothing's for diagnosis, nothing's for no patient relationships or anything like that. But if you're a bodybuilder who's interested in like mindfulness and things like that, I talk a lot about that and do some videos on my channel about various ways athletes can incorporate sort of mental performance into their bodybuilding life. And so, yeah, man, I've built my life around the psychology of the sport. I will be doing research into the sport. And so I just hope to, I hope to be a resource. And if any athlete should ever need anything, they can reach out on Instagram at Strength Ritual. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. This is the last thing right here, and I'm going to be kind of vulnerable real quick. So
Of course.
transitioning out of the military, I battled my own mental health issues. And I was one of them guys. I'm like, yo, I'm not about to go talk to nobody. Like, I can handle this shit on my own. Like, I'm not about to sit down and tell somebody my problems and they just look at me like I'm crazy. So what advice do you have out there for the men and women that don't think, talking to someone is important?
100%. And again, let me just say, I truly appreciate your service. My dad was a Navy man. He wasn't an Army man. He was a Navy man. And I got to do my 3rd-year rotation at the VA. So I have such an appreciation for the things that you all have sacrificed while in the service. So again, thank you so much. So for men and women, and, maybe I'll talk a lot to the males here, because to be honest with you, in psychology, it is a female dominated field. I consider it a privilege to be in this field as a male. And I think sometimes some of the talk therapies are maybe geared around talking about feelings when, some guys would rather come in and do a little bit more problem solving and get a plan situated. So I would say, number one thing is look for fit. If you go into a therapy session and you are uncomfortable with that therapist, it is your right to ask for another therapist. And if they can't provide you with another therapist, go find someone you fit with. When you look at the psychological literature, the thing that predicts outcomes most for people, it is not the therapist's theoretical orientation, whether they do CBT, psychodynamic, whatever. It is the relationship you have with that person. So treat it as an experiment. The first person you get might not fit. And it's not just about talking. If you all, within the first few sessions, do not develop an actionable plan that has steps that you can take in your life to meet your specific goals, you got to question whether or not you're doing something. And so I think for males, I think that speaks to sort of a mindset that they can get behind. It's like, okay, I'm going to go in here. We're going to talk a little bit. We're going to process some things, but we're going to develop an actionable plan that I can take out into the real world. I think that speaks to a lot of dudes. And that's also part of the reason why I'm here. Like I gear a lot of my sessions towards young men, young adolescent men, all the way up through the age range, have a couple veterans in there. And, I speak to them and we have great relationships. And you know what? I am not for everybody, but I know that some of these men are more comfortable having another male across from them. So I would say, look for fit. And it doesn't just have to be talking about your feelings. 100%. You are going to talk about some feelings. What feelings occur in certain situations? What do those feelings drive you to do? What thoughts do those feelings bring up in you? You're going to talk about those things. However, if it also doesn't come with some problem solving and some planning for outside of the therapy session, in my opinion, you're not doing everything you can. So I would say that is my best pitch for anybody who is hesitant about therapy. Number one, find someone you fit with, find someone you can vibe with, find someone you can laugh with. Not all of us are, we're not all just like, you're not going to be laying on a couch and I'm not going to sit there with my glasses and just, I don't know, talk at you. But like therapy can be a really cathartic and moving process that takes a person from, point A to point B, kind of like bodybuilding, like where you start, you don't have to end there. And you may not know where the end point is, but that's the job of the therapist, is to help orient you and direct you. And maybe they have some insight that maybe you didn't look at something a certain way. So I'd say those are some powerful things for anybody who's hesitant, and none of it's permanent. You have the right to just walk away. Like you don't have to go back to that person. Find someone who fits with you and vibes with your personality. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. And is it okay if anyone has any issues or problems, can they reach out to you via Instagram or whatever the case may be?
Absolutely, they can reach out to me. I will have to say, so as a psychologist, I cannot establish sort of any clinical relationships online. Any advice that I say on here does not establish a patient-provider relationship. However, if you are a bodybuilder and you have questions about the mental performance aspects of the sport, if you are struggling and I can point you to some resources in your area, I would be more than happy to. And I'll be able, and I know my limits. That's one of the things you learn early on as a therapist, is just like, okay, this person's presenting with XYZ. That's not my specialty. I know when to refer out. So absolutely reach out to me. Check out the YouTube channel if you're just looking for some general skills. And then definitely hit these guys up because their physiques are insane. And Jamal, Eric, you all are tremendous. And I really can't believe that I'm on the show with you all. As I was telling Eric earlier, I really started promoting the show, doing the YouTube channel to be around people who believed what I believed, as far as, number one, creating. You all are creating this. And then also from the natural bodybuilding side of things, like, you all are doing all the things that I enjoy. And I've really enjoyed being here with you.
Man, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
And I was about to say, just to close us off, do you want to maybe say your show name or show page name, your personal page name, and then also your YouTube, and then we'll close it out?
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. So on Instagram, the show is at OCB Mind Muscle Classic. We're really prompt. Danny Russ runs my social media, so she is very on top of things, and she will send me that, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. So at OCB Mind Muscle Classic. If you want to get me directly on social media, at Strength Ritual. And then on YouTube, you can just look up Dr. Josh Williams or at Strength Ritual. And I'm on there, and I've got some videos geared towards sort of the mental performance side of things.
All right. And it's a wrap. We will see you guys next week. And thank you again, Dr. Josh. And until next week, guys, we see you. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you all so much.